Hello and welcome to the Latents Records Craze podcast. We've got
Leighton.
Will Powers.
and Alistair, and yeah, it's been a couple of weeks now, hasn't it?
Yep.
Actually, back on a couple of weeks each time, but
Yep.
that's good. So, yeah, how are we all doing? Good.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah. We're recording later in the week than we usually would.
Yes.
We could say it's deliberate because of we didn't want to speak before the election happened, but that would be a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it's a Friday, so got that Friday feeling. End of the week. Yay. Weekend. Love it.
Yeah, don't we all?
Every day to me is the end of the week. Every day's a Friday. I should have that song. Every day's like Sunday. It is for me. Yeah, I've had a good week. Still mucking about with my new dog.
Yes, you've got Louis the dog.
Yeah. Been out and about and causing mischief, which has been fun.
Cute little pug.
A frog, if you don't mind.
He is a frog,
It's a
yes.
frog. Everyone calls him a pug.
Mm.
He's a frog. He's a little frogger. Now he's picked up this addiction now of cats. He's discovered cats. So every hedge that we walk past, he has to try and stick his head through it to see if there's a cat on the other side.
Yeah.
And quite a few times he's been caught out, and you hear this, and he pulls his head out and looks at you and say, "What the fuck? What would you stick your fucking head in there for, then, you dickhead?" Do you know what I mean? You're stuck in a hedge, and the cat's got free rein on you. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Well, my dog's like that. When she gets let out in the back garden in the evening so she can do her business before going to bed, one time years ago she went out there and there was a fox in the garden, and so now every single time we let her out in the garden when it's dark outside, she runs up and down the garden growling and barking even though there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So they get one experience where they learn that something happens if you do a certain thing, and then it seems like it stays with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to explain, he is around the studio somewhere, so if you hear banging on doors and scratching and barking, then
Yeah.
he's going to try and barge his way in here at some point.
But talk about the habit of dogs, like when they kind of learn something.
Yeah.
My dad's dog Alfie, he's got two. Well, my dad's got two Labrador kind of mixes of some sort. I'm not quite sure exactly what they are.
Right.
Because they were rescues, both of them.
Oh yeah.
But clearly, my Alfie, was the newer one that my dad got, clearly learned something about people walking through doors. It's not great. Moment anyone walks through a door, it's but. It's like even a doorway. It's just a bit like, calm down. Nothing's going on.
So
Yeah.
you've got female dogs, bitches. Have you
Well, a female dog. Yeah.
got a female dog? So now, because I'm kind of after asking somebody with a male dog about one thing I've discovered about Louis is like, and I don't want to get technical, but you know, like number ones and number twos,
Yeah.
and sometimes he does number ones up a lamppost with his leg cocked like a normal
Yeah.
dog.
You're getting pretty technical here, Tim.
The other time he does it, he squats like a woman.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay. But then, sorry to get technical. Oh, here we go.
Here he's here. He's got in. Hello.
As I was saying, without getting too technical, normally he does his number twos, but I've noticed sometimes he does a number two when he's got his leg cocked and he's having a wee. And you're kind of thinking, does he know he's doing that? Is that normal? Ring in and let us know if you have
Yeah.
a
Maybe
dog
just
that
has
does
the
a wee poo.
Maybe just the feeling of, oh, I need to do something, but I'm not quite sure which one it is.
It's just hilarious to watch. I mean, he's actually weeing with his leg cocked, and then all of a sudden he starts pooing at the same time, and you're thinking, right, is that normal? I don't know. Email us if you know.
Got to toilet conversation right at the beginning.
Yeah. It's all downhill from here now.
Yeah. So what else has been going on? I think one of the big things that's happened over the last couple of weeks was that Wonder Woman came out, and there's been a lot of talk about that, isn't there?
Yeah, it's supposed to be alright.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet, but
I
I do want to. Yeah. It sounds good to me, and I actually was pleasantly surprised about her character in Batman v Superman. I thought she was arguably the best thing in the film.
Didn't do a lot in it, that one. Though.
She didn't do a lot, no. But I remember when I first learned that that Wonder Woman was going to be in that film, I was rolling my eyes, going, "Oh, for God's sake, this is good. They're just packing in another superhero, and it's going to be ridiculous." And Wonder Woman is a bit ridiculous, but I was completely wrong. I thought that the actress played it really well. It's weird though, like in, I think it was in Lebanon, they banned the film from being played because it has an Israeli star.
Yeah.
And then there was that controversy over in...
Well, she's Israeli, isn't she?
She's Israeli, yeah. And there was that controversy over in, I think it was like Texas or one of the southern states, where they had that women's only screening, and then some guy decided...
Why can't you get men's only screening, wasn't it? Oh, that was stupid.
Yeah.
That was
it was a bit
stupid.
ridiculous, yeah.
Like, you kind of get the point about why they're doing it on that one.
Yeah, I mean, of all of the superhero movies there have been, there hasn't been one that is centered around a female character yet. So this is, it's like when the Black Panther film comes out, it'll be the first time there's been one.
Marvel have put Miss Marvel on their roster. That's out next year.
Oh, okay, that'd be interesting.
Like, they planned that ages ago as well.
The thing that will be interesting about that, though, for me at least, is that one of the biggest like plot points in the whole of the story of Miss Marvel is that she encountered Rogue from the X-Men when Rogue was still bad.
Can't
and
do that.
Yeah, exactly, they can't do that. But that is like the most significant thing in the storyline.
Really, the cinematic universe is pretty much completely different due to all the stuff and the licensing issues.
And then they didn't do Rogue right in the X-Men either.
No,
they made her into sort of a damsel in distress.
They put her slightly more in the Kitty Pryde some aspect, like when they introduced her, because that was more of the X-Men. Like, she was the introduction into, especially in the animated series. Like, Kitty was more of the introduction.
Yeah.
Into the X-Men world, and that as kind of like the new person going in when they first.
Yeah. And also, I always felt it was a bit like Jubilee as well, because of the relationship which she had with Wolverine.
Yeah.
But in terms of Rogue and Miss Marvel, for both of them, one of the most important things that happens in their storyline is them encountering each other and Rogue stealing all of her powers. But obviously, they're not going to be touching on that.
Yeah. There's lots of talk that they're going to be doing. Definitely going to do an X-23. Or have X-23 and a lot more of the X-Men. Yeah,
that'll be good as they move forward in that weird universe.
I'm pretty sure they'll just put it into a different timeline continuity.
Yeah.
Stuff in with the rest of the X-Men that they're currently doing.
The X-Men universe trying to undo its past and reboot itself without actually rebooting the whole franchise is quite a drawn out process.
Also that with First Class being in the 60s.
Yeah.
And it's just like a decade on, none of them age now.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, because as well, like, I remember finding it really weird when they had the whole thing where Scott Summers was in the first Wolverine film, and he was just a kid in it. Yeah, it just trying to work out the chronology of everything.
Isn't Alex in the comics the younger brother
of Scott Summers? Yeah,
but they've reversed it in the.
Yeah, he's the older brother. Yeah. And Alex does die in it, but Alex like repeatedly dies in the comics universes and then somehow comes back, as do a lot of characters in comics, to be fair.
Yeah, that's kind of an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Really?
I think Wolverine is currently dead in the Marvel universe. Last I heard he was anyway, and Captain America as well.
They've drawn their focus away from Fox properties, haven't they? That's Fox properties in the...
Yeah, that makes sense.
In the cinematic world.
There's been lots of new stuff coming out promoting the Spider-Man Homecoming film
I'm
as well.
really liking the look of that.
Yeah,
It looks more true to the young, kind of snippy
yeah,
Peter Parker.
yeah, and the way it's connected with Iron Man and everything, it's just interesting.
Mm.
And I like how you get those little glimpses of him, like recording little vlogs while he's fighting against giant Ant-Man and all of that. It's all. I really like the humor that they have adopted with the Spider-Man, because I always felt like with the old Spider-Man films, the humor side of it was just too cheesy and it
was
didn't really
very
work.
cheesy.
Yeah. But having said that, I think that the Spider-Man humor in the comics is pretty cheesy as well.
Mm. It's very on the nose, sarcastic,
Yeah.
but it's very like blunt, sarcastic.
Mm. And they've started releasing promo stuff for the the Daredevil and Luke Cage
Defenders,
and the
yes.
Defenders, yeah, which is quite exciting.
Yeah. Hopefully it will move a bit more forward in the storyline than what Iron Fist is.
Yeah,
I'm sure it will, because got lots of characters.
yeah, it's got
And
so
they've
many.
announced that Punisher's. Well, I think it's leaked that Punisher's coming out in December.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
did hear about that. It was coming out this year at least. Yeah,
Yeah. Or November. Maybe it's November. It might be November actually.
it's quite impressive that they've done that as quickly as they have, considering that it wasn't really in
It
their
was so
plans.
popular though.
Well, yeah,
They
exactly,
just
yeah.
greenlit it straight away. They were like, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely doing a Punisher.
yeah. All these cinematic universes are looking. Well, there's a lot happening with them at the moment, at least. I was gonna say they're looking exciting, but I'm still not really particularly excited about the DC universe. With the Justice League coming up.
Yeah, I'm not excited for it.
No. Still do want to see Wonder Woman though.
Mm.
Just have to apologise about my coughing. I've still got a chest infection, so every now and then I'm gonna have to.
You haven't been able to shake it for a few weeks now.
No, for about 5 weeks. I saw John Wick 2.
Oh.
While we're talking about films, finally seen it.
That's crazy, that film. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Not seen it.
Oh,
I've seen Alien.
Covenant.
That's the
You always
one.
have to look at me first.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's
Even
called.
in the car, you were like, it's Alien.
Covenant.
Covenant, yeah. I've seen that now.
What did you think of it?
Well, it's obviously leading up to another one.
Right.
So there's another one coming. Because I think Ridley's in his 80s now, isn't he?
Yeah, possibly.
got- yeah.
He's getting on a bit.
He's
yeah.
old,
Late
so I
70s,
think he's
maybe.
going to write one more. Which I hope links up with the first Alien.
Yeah, maybe
he
if it
can
comes
put
full
that
circle.
into it, yeah, so that when they go to the ship with John Hurt in the first Alien, the first
Yeah.
77, I think it was released. Because then you'd have the 3 Prometheuses, and then you'd have the 4 aliens that all running.
Yeah.
That would be.
I suppose it would need to come down to how that ship on LV-426 crashed there with all of the eggs and everything on it.
Yeah. I mean, especially with the one I've just watched, if you got to be if you're a Michael Fassbender fan,
Mm.
you're in for a treat.
Yeah. Well, he was the best thing in Prometheus as well, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Hmm.
So hopefully there's another one. I think there is in the pipeline.
But do you need it to show what happened to that same alien ship? Can't that just be one? Because you know that they went out there, and so you know that they went to multiple different areas and planets.
Well, it would just be nice because I always wondered when I first saw the first Alien. I always wondered what this thing was in this big. At the time I thought was like a gun.
Yeah.
You know, it looked like he was sitting in this big kind of gun thing,
Mm.
and you never really knew what that was. You know, it was kind of like, what the fuck is that? And you know that it's fossilised because he says it's fossilised and it's been broken from the inside out, and
Yeah.
you know, and since till Prometheus came out, no one ever knew what that thing fucking was. You know, it's just nice now going, that's what it was. It's a star map finder thing, you know, and
Yeah.
it's this alien that goes around doing this and blah blah blah. And now I get it. It'd just be nice to link up the last film with that ship that's discovered in Alien, because this
I'm not
one
sure,
is very
'cause
alien orientated.
I hate how franchises they try to link up like that though, because what's great about movies is the mysteries of them. Like even standalone as Aliens, the mystery of that. And what I found annoying about, I mean, if you say look at Star Wars, yes, that was done poorly anyway. But I think another poor aspect of that is that it was trying to pre-explain everything. That was mysteries and within the original trilogy. And I'm a bit like, well,
but look at, is it Rogue
the
One where they linked up, where they done a young Carrie Fisher, a young Princess Leia?
Yeah, they did. But I think that
it'd be good if it.
Because that was quite good.
My
the way they
worry,
linked
my
that
worry
up
is
with
that he focused too much on the central ship, because in Rogue One it doesn't. It has little hints of what's going on around that links up into Episode 4.
Yeah.
But the main focus is not on any really main characters. It's like they're a part of this storyline, but it doesn't kind of then go, oh, look, and who was with them? Oh, Leia is actually way more involved. It's like, no, just Leia at the end. There we go. That's all that you need. You don't need it to be a focus. My worry is that they would make it too much of a focus.
No. I just want it to be, even at the end, you know, if as long as you know that that's the ship and that's the planet that is then discovered how far later, because obviously this thing is crystallized by the time they discover it.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to match it up, because it's, how long would it take for one of these things to become crystallized? Or, you know, fossilized, whatever it was. So as long as you know that that ship has now landed on that planet, then, you know, it's almost like you can then fast forward 10,000 years or whatever, and then watch the first Alien and know that that is what they've discovered.
I suppose.
I think it'll be nice.
I suppose another interesting question about it would be like, are there other planets that hadn't been discovered yet that had a similar thing on it, or was it just that one planet where that alien ship crashed? And because I can see your point, Ellie, because I always remember one thing that I always argue with people about when they try and say the opposite to me is that so many people say that the ending of Lost was so disappointing and it was crap and it didn't. But the thing is,
it didn't wrap up everything.
Yeah, it didn't wrap everything up. It didn't spoon feed you everything you needed to know. But if you go back and you analyze everything that happened and you can figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's nice for you to put the pieces together yourself, or even like the ending of Inception, when he spins his spinning top and you don't see. There's a question: is it real, or is he still in a dream?
If you actually look at the images, probably it isn't real.
Because it looked like it was going to stop and then it carried on. But that's the thing; it lets you think about it.
Also, the kids turn around exactly the same as in the
that vision that he keeps having.
Yeah, you're a bit like, that's probably not real.
But that's what I mean. It inflames you to talk about it and to debate, and ultimately, I think it asks the question of, does it really matter if it's real or not?
Yeah.
Because for him, it's what he wants. The same way, his wife, when she killed herself, and then that.
Did you see that in the cinema at all?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have people going no?
When
it cut out, they were like, oh, no.
That was one of the best films I've seen in the cinema, I think, for the experience of seeing it in the cinema. Especially that whole sequence where Joseph Gordon-Levitt is fighting and the gravity keeps shifting because the van's rolling.
The whole van thing was a really the slow increase of tension.
Yeah.
At that, and time, like how he kind of used the whole sense of time to ratchet up the tension.
Yeah, and how important it was that they all synchronized the one thing they were trying to do.
It was very much a masterclass of filmmaking for a tension scene. It's a bit like it all matched up, and editing as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The editor win an award for that. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I don't think he might have done.
Yeah.
I still think he should have done if he did, because the editing in that movie's. If you think about the number of scenes that they try to make sure there's map out. Yeah,
it is on point.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, what would you say is your best cinema experience film that you've ever seen in the cinema? Not just for how good the film was, but for how good it was to see it on the big screen.
That's a good question.
I know what mine is. Like, I knew it from the moment I watched the film, and that was Gravity. Just seeing it in 3D.
Yeah, that was a good experience.
Yeah, I just
I
found
think
it
that was one
mind
that
blowing.
needs to be seen in the cinema for
I've-
the scale of the
Yeah.
things.
Can I
but-
be greedy and have 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say that's my favourite. It was a good experience though. I'd say
Yeah.
that, but it was. But I'm trying to think of what my favourite is. You
I'll
go
go
to.
then, yeah. 2. There's 2 experiences I've had in cinema that were awesome. And I know a lot of people quoted the first film that I'm going to talk about, but I thought it was fucking brilliant. Blair Witch, the original.
Oh yeah, the Blair Witch Project.
I'm sitting
yeah.
in the cinema and I'm watching Blair Witch, and all the way through you're really tense because I absolutely love movies when you can't see the demon.
Yeah.
Because how the fuck can you fight it, right? Because you can't see it. It's not like it's in front of you. You can punch it and hit it with a spade.
Well, and also there's constantly in that film there's the question of is there actually anything there at all?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was that end section. I mean, I was tense all the way through it.
Yeah.
But it was that end section where the kid runs in, sees the bloke standing in the
Yeah,
corner,
in the corner. Oh.
and then bang.
And then and that's it.
That's it.
That is one of the most haunting moments. Some people it completely just doesn't affect them at all.
The
but-
cinema was silent.
Yeah.
It just went dead. And everybody just kind of looked at each other and went. And everybody just got up and started walking out of the cinema.
Silently, yeah.
Silent. I mean, it was amazing.
I just remember
Amazing.
in Family Guy when Brian was being the seeing eye dog for a blind person and he took them in to watch the Blair Witch Project in the cinema and he was explaining what was happening the whole time. He's like, okay, the camera's waving around everywhere. Nothing's happening. Something about a map. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
It's over. Everybody looks pissed.
Right. The thing is, after this quick story, after we watched Blair Witch, there was me, there was Sonia, there was my sister-in-law who's no longer with us, Sue. There was a friend of mine called Steve. There was other people, but we all pulled up outside with the studio, this place, right? And this
Yeah.
was when it was being decorated. There was no wallpaper on the walls in the hall, landing stairs, or nothing.
Mm.
So it looked like the Blair Witch house,
Yeah.
right? And I had to rush in to grab something because we was all going off again. And I've opened the front door and I've run in and I've grabbed what I was going to grab and then thought, I really need a wee, right? So I've run upstairs to the loo. And what I didn't know was my mate Steve had sneaked in and was hiding in my kitchen. So I've come out the loo, I'm running down this fucking stairwell that looked like Blair Witch, thinking, let's get the fuck out of here because this house is scary at the best of times. This studio, it's haunted to fuck. I come bombing down the stairs, I've turned on the bottom stairs, I'm running down the last few stairs, and my mate jumped out of the kitchen at me. Well, and then he knocked the fucker out. Oh my God. Talk about fucking heart failure because I've just watched the Blair Witch.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm running past this dark square because the light was off and it's night time and he's jumped out. Oh, the fucker got me big style. Anyway, the second film, but a lot of people are going to moan about this probably as well. For me, was War of the Worlds.
I
the
saw that in
the
cinema,
Tom
actually.
Cruise one.
The Tom Cruise one.
I did see that
I
in
saw
cinema.
that in the cinema. Yeah.
I watched it and I have had this thing. It's funny. I wish my mate Sam was here. He's got the same thing. I can't listen to War of the Worlds anymore. The original.
Yeah.
Because I first heard it when I was 7. On Horsham Common, where the fucking pod lands. Right. My
Oh,
brother-in-law
yeah.
drove us to Horsham Common and put it on, and then when you see that hill we're on, I went, yeah. He went, that's Horsham Common. That's where this pod landed. Well, I fucking lost the plot. But I've listened to it and I've listened to it. But now, when I hear any of the music from that opera, my whole fucking back goes up, you know. And so I thought, right, let's go and see what this film's about. I know there was nothing to do with Horsham Common or England in it. I mean, Europe's mentioned, England's mentioned in it, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I loved it, but the bit where they're down in the cellar and that thing
yeah.
comes
Oh,
in,
yeah.
So
right?
tense. Yeah.
That thing comes in. I couldn't breathe. I'd stopped breathing, I was holding my breath.
There's
I do
there's so
remember doing
much
that.
going on in that scene. I think that's why it really messes with your emotions, because there's that happening, but then there's also that other man who wants to try and attack it, and
Attack
Tom
him.
Cruise is trying to tell
It's
him
like,
no.
no,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
screw it
Yeah.
up.
A little bit of trivia: them two have appeared in appeared in a film together before. Do you know which one it is?
I'd have no idea.
Tim Robbins and Tom Cruise. And I think they're making a remake or a part 2 of it now.
Oh, okay.
Top Gun.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tim Robbins was one of the pilots. Anyway, I've got to stop watching films. When that thing started coming down and going around trying to find them, I stopped breathing. I was holding my breath.
Yeah.
And people were going to me, breathe, fucking breathe, because I was so into it.
Mm.
And then I started breathing, and then the fucking aliens come down in there. Oh my
Yeah.
god, that was it. That was it. I nearly passed out. Again, I started holding my breath, going, "Don't move, for fuck's sake!" Do you know what I mean? Oh, I loved it. I absolutely fucking loved it, and it's now one of my go-to films. I put my hands up. I love it.
I love it. It's Steven Spielberg film, isn't it? It's
I
a
think so.
Spielberg directed.
I think Inception might be actually mine, like a moment, because I don't think I had a moment like that. This is where people just went, no.
Yeah.
Like,
It
like
was
back
it
to
was
it,
mind
yeah.
blowing. It was absolutely mind blowing. At certain moments of Inception,
Yeah.
it really,
Yeah.
like The Dark Knight as well. When I saw The Dark Knight in the cinema, from the moment the beginning sequence happens and at the end you see that it's the Joker and he's made all of his people kill each other until he's the last one living. And from that point on, that film was just genius. I thought.
The first Star Wars was a big one for me as well, because I was. You come out in '77. I was
Yeah,
9.
yeah.
And we went to see it. My brother took me. My brother and his girlfriend took me, and it was kind of like my first trip to the cinema. And back then, you used to have a woman come out with a tray that had little tubs of ice cream and
I think that-
cigarettes
I
and
think
middies.
when I was a kid, there was a local cinema in Stoneleigh where I was, and they still had that.
But the woman that came out with the little
Someone,
tubs of ice cream.
someone came out with little tubs of ice
and
cream.
Mivvy lollies. Do you
Yeah.
remember Mivvies?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And cigarettes. You could smoke in the cinema
Yeah.
back then. It was fucking amazing. And yeah, Star Wars. That was my first ever. That was like the big one. I become a Star Wars fanatic at that age, as you would.
Yeah.
You know. But I think the biggest ones for me was definitely War of the Worlds, and Blair Witch were two of the points where I don't get scared easy. I don't get tense easy.
Yeah.
Because I saw The Exorcist when I was 12. My brother used to wake me up. I mean, my brother was 14 when I was born. So by the time I was 6 or 7, he was 20, 21, 22, yeah.
Yeah.
So he used to come and wake me up at fucking 2:30 in the morning. And because he worked for Rediffusion, we had like one of the first videos. He used to wake me up and used to make me go and sit and watch videos with him. So he'd be watching Zombies Dawn of the Dead,
Yeah.
and I'd be sitting next to him kind of going... And I know now why he did it. It's because if it ever come true, he could throw me at the zombies and get away. Right? Thanks. Sometimes he used to say, "Yeah, come and get in my bed, you're sleeping with me tonight." And he'd put me on the outside of the bed and he'd tuck himself right up into the wall so that if anything come up from underneath the bed, fucking fodder. Hey, well, cheers, mate. Do you know what I mean? But I don't get trashed easy. I don't get trashed easy, right? Because when I saw The Exorcist when I was 12, I didn't fucking sleep for 5 months.
Yeah.
That was it for me. It was just like, wow, fuck the fuck off. Because you know what happened in the house where I used to live? Fucking, that was haunted to fuck. I ain't joking. To fuck. We're talking poltergeist. I've been in poltergeist shit. Had things fly across the room and shit, yeah. So when I'm watching The Exorcist and I'm living in this house, oh my days, it was traumatic for me. So I don't get scared and I don't get tensed. But them two films fucked me. And that's why they're my favourites, because sitting in the cinema with the Blair Witch, I was just staring at the screen, just going, what the fuck? And then I realised the film had ended. That was it.
Yeah.
The last scene was that kid standing in the corner. How harrowing is that?
Yeah, that is. So many other things have copied that thing of someone standing in the corner facing a wall. Like, I can remember a while ago talking to you yourself actually, Tim, when we were talking about The Eye. And there's that one that where she gets in the elevator and there's that guy just standing in the corner.
Floating, just
and he just says floating along the wall.
The original though, not the remake.
Yeah, the original one
was way better.
Yeah, the remake's okay, but
the original
one is
way
just,
scarier.
Yeah.
And The Grudge.
Oh, The Grudge is
that
the only. That is the Japanese original Grudge is the only film that still freaks me out, even though I've watched it countless times over the last 10-15 years. But there's certain scenes in that, like the scene where that girl gets back to her apartment and then she turns on the TV and the TV all distorts and starts making that sound, and then someone phones and she answers it and it's the sound, and then there's a knock on the door and she looks through the peephole and she can see that it's her friend out there, but when she opens the door there's nobody. And then finally she gets in her fucking bed and then you just see that there's something appearing in under the sheets there, and when she lifts it up the fucking woman is right there.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
God. Oh yeah. I mean, this is the thing, these films are fantastic, aren't they?
Yeah.
Fantastic. But I have this whole selection of films that I've got on my TiVo. I've got the DVDs, but it was just easier to get them onto my TiVo. And I've got these go-to films where I just put them on and it whiles away a couple of hours.
Yeah.
You know, like Escape from New York, The Breakfast Club. I could watch that every day. Quadrophenia, which it was when you was talking earlier on about the Lost. Was it you said about Lost? About how it took me years. In fact, I'm so embarrassed. An old mod that I know, I said, all these years that I was watching Quadrophenia, and I've been watching it since I was like 15, right? Because I think I had it on Betamax, and it became one of my favourite films. I used to bunk off school, and my mates used to pile in a room. We used to get the bongs out and fucking get munted and just watch films, and we always watched Quadrophenia. At the end, when he goes to the cliff and you see the bike fly off the cliff, don't know if you've ever seen the film, and the bike crashes, it's at Beachy Head, the bike crashes into the rocks below, and then the titles come up, right? Mm-hmm. And I always said, did he kill himself? Did he do it? Although they didn't show him coming off with the bike, is that the metaphor of he's driven off a Beachy Head?
Yeah.
For years I thought didn't he? Years. I mean, we're talking about fucking 15 years. Until my mate went, watch the beginning again. I went, oh, why? He went, just watch the beginning. And so I went home, got the DVD out, put the fucking DVD on, and the opening scene is Jimmy walking away from the cliff's edge.
Oh.
And he walks right past the camera. All them years that I've watched this film, I didn't realise the first scene of the film is him walking away from the edge. Yeah. Which is he's given up being a mod. The mod day is over for him now. Yeah. You know. So he didn't go off with a bike. He's jumped off the bike's gone over, and he's actually walking away from the cliff, and that's it. He's not a mod anymore. He's sick of it. He's had enough. But 15 years I've been watching that film until this whole guy went, rewatch the beginning. Like a fucking div, do you know what I mean? So yeah. But War of the Worlds is one of my go-to movies. When I've got nothing else to do, I just whack that on and I'm gone. I'm quite happy. I love it. I love it.
I thought... Go on, Eddie.
I just thought of a movie that I saw yesterday, which is Trainspotting 2.
Yeah, I saw that in the cinema
I've seen it
a few months ago.
It's alright. It's not as like... Because, I mean, the whole theme of it is kind of looking back at your history of what you've done and things. So it's kind of a bit more dozy compared to the high energy of the first one.
Yeah, and
it still has tense moments, but it has these kind of moments where they're reminiscent about what happened in the first movie. Yeah.
The thing that always strikes me about Trainspotting and Trainspotting 2, which I've never managed to make peace with, is that everyone loves the characters so much, but I watch it and I just think these guys are fucking scumbags, every single one of them.
They are supposed to be.
Yeah. But there's not even, with the exception of maybe the Robert Carlyle really violent a really over the top violent guy, and also with the guy who's just a bit of a sheep and just follows everyone else and gets himself in trouble. Those two have got something charismatic about them, but the rest of them, even Ewan McGregor, in my opinion, he's just such a scumbag. He's probably the worst one out of all of them because he fucked them all over at the end.
Even more so in the second one.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
Because dickhead.
Yeah, because you think that he's reformed and he's come back and he's trying to make peace with everything, but he's just as bad as he was in the first place.
When you have addiction and you're in rehab and shit like that, there's certain things that they say you're not allowed to watch. Don't watch it because it can cause a relapse. And they say Train Spotting, another film called Bad Lieutenant with Harvey Keitel.
Yeah.
They remade that with Nicolas Cage as well, and it was actually a good remake. But yeah,
there's all these films that you're not allowed to watch.
Yeah.
So it took a few years, but then I've watched them all. I've watched Bad Lieutenant, Train Spotting, and I'm not addicted anymore. My addictions are guitars and guitar picks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, once again, like the visuals in Train Spotting.
Yeah.
Even
and
the second one,
music,
like, it's fantastic.
Iggy Pop at the beginning, straight away, it's just like yes, you know.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting with the music in the second one because it just has the instrumentals like slowly come in on parts of it, and it's like literally in the background.
Yeah.
Who told me that there's a little homage to Bowie in it? Was it you?
It may have been.
Where he's flicking through
Oh
albums.
yeah, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
there is,
yeah.
yes.
It probably was me that told you that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will watch it. It's just
He does. There's one bit. I think it was in the second one where he's with a woman in a pub and he does a long rant about.
Choose Life. He does the Choose Life.
Yeah,
speech
that
again.
thing. But that was the most meaningful version of it that he ever does in either of the two films, and it was like the one time where he actually shows a little bit of insight that he's gained into the world from what he's been through. Because the rest of the time,
well, it's like the first time it's like he says it in that movie. It's like, oh, we just added it on to just random things. It was just like us young people fucking kidding about and just adding bits.
Yeah.
So we kept saying choose life, choose getting up, but going around buying Gucci bags and then realising that they're worthless. And
it's a little bit like in Fight Club when he keeps on saying I am Jax this and I am Jax that. Yeah, Trainspotting 2 was good. I watched a film yesterday, San Andreas. I watched San Andreas.
Oh, the earthquake.
Yeah.
oh, with The Rock.
Yeah.
Fucking
One thing that struck me just when you were talking just now, Tim, was that you were saying about your brother like using you as fodder.
Yeah.
That was, I think, for me, the problem with San Andreas, which is the problem with all of those big disaster films, is that the characters are so basic and simple. And there's the stepdad in San Andreas who at first you're like, oh, he seems like he's a decent guy. You can't really hate him. But then he turns out to be a fucking coward who abandons the daughter. And then at one point there's like all rubble coming down the street and there's all these people hanging onto a fence. And he grabs one of them and throws him into the thing and then grabs onto the fence himself.
I mean, back in the like late 80s and 90s, these were kind of B-level movies. And now they kind of, once Day After Tomorrow came out, really, Armageddon kind of did it things, but Day After Tomorrow went really stupid with it, and then 2012 went even more stupid with it, and it's just kind of Hollywood level, like big budget version of those B-roll movies. So the characters are really shallow.
The thing about that, the one that you just watched, San Andreas, was it?
Yeah.
When I watched it, this was about 2 years ago, whenever it fucking came out. It was on Sky. It came out on Sky Movies or something, and it was on, so we watched it. You know, when you're in them films, you're kind of halfway and you're thinking this is not good, but I'm into it now. I've got to watch it. I've got to see it through. And then we watched another film that had come out on Sky Movies around the same time. It was the same fucking movie. I can't remember what it was, but it was exactly the same fucking movie, right? But with a different name and different actors. And that's what pisses me off about when a script goes around Hollywood now, and people just steal it. Like
White House Down.
White House Down.
And Olympus Has Fallen.
And Olympus Has Fallen, right? And there's others, right? That too many that you can fucking talk about. Where you're just thinking, hang on a minute, I'll just fucking watch this movie, but with different actors.
Armageddon and what's the other one with Elijah Wood? There's Armageddon, which is the asteroid, and then there's the other one with Elijah Wood in it that has an asteroid going. I can't remember what it's called now.
I don't know. I didn't see that one.
I can't think what it could be, but I probably would know it as soon as you said it.
It's one where part of the asteroid actually hits in the water, and you'll probably recognise it from the description, like the big tidal wave comes at the end of the movie.
I don't know
I
if
can't
I've
remember
seen
what it's
it.
called. The title of it's gone off.
But I
top
mean,
of my head.
that at San Andreas, I'd have to try and find out what it was. But there was a movie that came out a few weeks later. But it was exactly the same movie. Exactly the same. I hate it when they do that. They just rip off some poor guy's fucking work, change it a little bit, and then just release their own version of it.
Yeah.
I watched a film, is it called Life? With Jake
Oh, yeah,
Gyllenhaal
yeah.
and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, that was all right.
Yeah, it could have been better.
It was just
Generic,
Alien.
straightforward.
Yeah, just Alien redone.
Yeah.
Deep Impact. That was the name of the movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I do
Yeah.
know of Deep Impact. Yeah. I'll tell you one really good film that I saw recently that I would highly, highly, highly recommend is a film called The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
I think I've seen it.
It's a horror film. And it's got Brian Cox in it, the guy who's going to be Winston
Yes.
Churchill
Hang
in
on,
that new
hang
film.
on. Everything there, something to do with the drawer. The drawer opens and the bodies come out.
That does
Flung out on
happen,
the
yeah.
floor. And he looks in the mirror and he sees the person behind him. Or
Yeah, there is a moment like that.
Yeah,
I
I've
mean, the
seen it.
basic
I
concept
saw
of it is that Brian Cox is a guy who does
Mortician.
autopsies on the murder victims to try and establish the cause of death, and his son does it with him. And they're about to leave one night, and then the police suddenly come down with this victim who was found in a house. This young woman was naked, buried underground in this house, and everyone else in the house was dead. And it was a real mystery as to how this had happened and what her connection to it was. And there was no sign of how she had died. And so they start performing the autopsy on her, and more weird things they discover more and more weird things about her. And then eventually it twists, and you find out there is a hell of a lot more to her than meets the eye. And it's really a really good horror film.
it is a good horror film.
Yeah.
If you take it as a horror film,
Yeah.
it's quite ingenious as well when he starts to discover the body, what's in
Yeah.
it and under it. And
Yeah.
I really liked it. I'm not going to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
too much. I don't want to spoil it. But I really liked it. As a
Yeah.
horror movie, it was good.
Yeah,
It whiled
absolutely.
away a few hours. And what I liked about it was original.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nothing that's a copy of anything else yet that's come out.
Yeah, I've watched a hell of a lot of horror films, and I had never seen one like that.
Yeah.
Where this girl, you know that she is the center of all of this carnage that's happened, but that you're with them trying to figure out how she is connected to everything and what role she played in it, how she died.
Yeah.
I
I enjoyed it.
It's a brilliant film.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, I highly recommend
I'm
it.
interested in The Mummy. I might have to.
Yeah,
I've heard mixing things about it.
I still like Tom Cruise. I'm going to go and watch it.
yeah. I generally like Tom Cruise. Well, in films, I'm not a huge fan of him as a person. But I mean, like, whenever his films come out, like when they get it right, when they cast him in a good film like War of the Worlds or like Minority Report,
Edge of Tomorrow.
and Edge of Tomorrow, that was the one that I was coming to, because that film's fucking amazing. I love that film, and he was genius in Tropic Thunder as well.
Yeah. I mean, I've grown up with him from the early days, from when he was in the Brat Pack.
Oh
Part
yeah,
of the
yeah.
Brat Pack back in the early days. Because I mean, I'm a lot older than you lot, so I remember him, Risky Business and kind of going back. Stripes, Taps. When he was on a machine gun and he was just fucking shooting everybody. It was his own squaddies, his own friends. He's just shooting everybody. Do you know what I mean? But
One of my
I've
favourite
been
films.
following him through his career.
When I was a kid, I used to watch again and again that film Legend where he was very young,
Yep,
Tom Cruise.
Legend
in
when
it.
he was really young.
But see, that film was a Ridley Scott film as well, and I watched it again recently, and the version that I always used to watch was different, because this version that I watched had the original soundtrack, and the original soundtrack is fucking awful in that film. it's so repetitive and boring, and it ruins the movie. Whereas the version that I used to watch when I was a kid, had different music, and it made the film so much more enjoyable.
Be surprised how often that happens, where there's two different cuts.
Yeah,
Probably for the license of the music about where they can
yeah,
air it, I suppose. And so one might have been an American territory only soundtrack, and another one might have been
yeah.
another
Perhaps, yeah.
territory soundtrack, because
Yeah,
if it's not originally made music the whole way through, I'm guessing they might have to change some parts,
it really.
or wherever the composer, because they'd have most of the
Yeah.
rights. They might have the rights.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes they'll sign it away. Well, these days you wouldn't get away with that, but I bet you probably back in the day you might have got away with not signing the rights to the movie studio.
On our last podcast, I just want to say this while we're talking about movies. On our last podcast, we touched upon ufology, which I'm into. There's a really good film. I don't know if it's on Netflix or Sky or one of the other movie channels. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
It's called Unacknowledged. Positive, it's called Unacknowledged. Watch it. Just watch it, because it's different from any other ufology filming, as in you haven't got people sitting there going, well, I was in bed one day and the light came in the window and all of a sudden I'm in a spaceship. I get it, I love it, but this is people that are in the know talking about shit that we need to know, and they're pissed that it keeps getting hushed up, and so they're risking their lives by going, check this out, check this out, check this out, don't believe everything you hear. It's called Unacknowledged. Watch it. If you're not into ufology, just watch this film. It's a massive eye-opener.
Okay, Unacknowledged. Have you guys ever seen that film Dark Skies?
Yes.
What do you think of it?
I'd have to re-watch it because it was a long, long time ago, because there was a series as well. There's
Yeah.
episodes, Dark Skies, which I was watching as well, so I can't really remember. But I think I watched it around the same time as I watched a film called Fourth Kind.
Yeah, it's similar kind of concept to the fourth.
So
kind,
yeah, I'm probably going to end up getting that mixed up in my head.
Yeah. What about you, Ali? What did you think of Dark Skies?
I'm pretty sure I've seen it. I'm trying to recall.
It's got a boy. The family is a boy and his little brother, and then the mum and dad. The mum is an estate agent, and the dad is trying to land some kind of big deal at work so that he can get promotion because they're struggling with money.
I might not have seen it actually.
It's very
Might be
similar to
another
the fourth
movie.
kind in that they are being visited by the Greys, these aliens.
Okay.
They're being visited by them, but they aren't sure if they are.
Right.
They like he sets up CCTV cameras all around the house, but they all suddenly go all fuzzy and everything at a certain point in the night, and you can't see anything. I don't know if it's good or not. Like the film, for me, I found it quite scary, quite haunting, in the same way that the fourth kind is, because it was exactly the same in that, where these people knew that something was happening, but when they tried to remember it or when they tried to explain it, it was just on the tip of their tongue, but they just couldn't because something was blocking them from.
Yeah, because I've seen the fourth kind. I haven't seen
Yeah.
Dark Skies. I don't think.
I always found the fourth kind similar to what you were saying about the Blair Witch Project, how you can't see what's there, but you don't even know if there is something there, but it definitely seems like there is, and that's just terrifying. And that's what I thought about the fourth kind, just when she's interviewing people, and consistently they all try and remember what they saw, but all they can remember is an owl sitting on the windowsill.
Yeah.
And that's what the aliens have put in their brain. That's the image that they've got.
Yeah.
And Dark Skies is similar.
There was a film in 1992, 91, 92. I think I might have mentioned it before, called Intruders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or The Intruders.
Yep.
The main character is the guy from First Blood. You know, the captain that they send in to try and get Rambo.
Yeah.
It's him. He's in
Right.
the film. But the film is based on books that I read when I first started ufology. First started looking into, is there life out there and everything. Yeah, it's called Intruders or The Intruders. It's from like 91, 92. That's worth watching. it's a bit coy because obviously the actors are, some of them are new actors, and so the acting's not great. But the actual stories are based on real events,
Yeah.
you know, as in what's been took from the books.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, unacknowledged, definitely worth a look. If you're not into ufology, this is a good eye opener. Very good eye opener, actually. So yeah,
I do like the alien horror genre, and not the sort of creature feature like Life or Alien. Although I do like them, but
Cloverfield.
yeah. But what I do really like is the idea that the aliens are not some big monstrous thing that comes down like a fucking Hulk and tries to destroy everything. But they're much more advanced, and they're much more intelligent than we are.
Fire in the Sky.
Oh yeah. I think I've seen Fire in
About
the
Travis
Sky.
Walton.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah, I have seen that.
and
Yeah,
he gets out the van.
yeah, because I've seen the documentary about that as well.
The real guy, Travis
Yeah.
Walton. Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
The thing is, he's passed every lie detector test.
Mm.
Everyone and everybody else that was in that cabin, that was
Yeah.
in that truck, has always passed the lie detector test.
Mm.
They've never failed. Ever.
Yeah, there is a lot of evidence on that what they
And
say happened.
The
did
medical
happen.
staff can prove that he hadn't eaten or drunk for 5 days. 5 days. He was lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
He hadn't drunk anything or
Yeah.
ate anything for
Well, you-
5
yeah,
days.
I mean,
Now
you
you
can-
try and do that as a hoax.
Yeah, you can't. You can not eat for weeks, but you can't not drink. For it's like after 4 days or so, you're pretty much irreversibly.
Try and do that
dehydrated.
as a hoax. You're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Not unless your mates actually tie you up and refuse to give you. Obviously, if you're all in on the hoax, you could do it. But I don't know. For me, it's just, and it's a great film
Yeah.
when they put him under that shrink wrap stuff, and it
Yeah,
just pins him down and he can't move. How harrowing is that? I mean, imagine that. And then you see that thing coming down towards his eye.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Really? For fuck's sake.
Did you finish Prey yet, Ali?
No, I haven't finished it. I haven't had time, man.
Did you ever play the original Prey?
A little bit. I don't think I completed that one either, though.
Because that one was very similar to like Portal and stuff, where
Yeah,
puzzles
I
based
knew
on.
that, where it's kind of all about space and things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And
but
special
I remember
powers.
when I first played Prey. Even though by today's standards, the sequence and the graphics to it are very basic, but
Dated, yeah.
the whole sequence at the beginning where you're in a bar and everything seems like it's going in a certain direction, it's going to be a normal sort of thing, and then suddenly the fucking roof comes off and everyone starts getting pulled up into the sky, and you go through the whole experience of getting abducted by these aliens and then put into this processing thing on the ship and stuff. And I thought that was a really amazing, for the time, it was a really amazing sequence for the game. It's really immersive and like this really imaginative depiction of what it might be like to get abducted by aliens, and then what they might do to you once you're on board the ship, and seeing what they're doing to all the other humans that are on board the ship. But yeah, I understand you haven't had the time, but yeah, obviously you'll get around to playing.
I will get around to it because I have enjoyed it so far.
Yeah,
I'm still only like 3 hours in.
yeah, you got a long way to go.
Yeah.
I can't remember
And
what
that's
my
on the
total
hardest
was.
difficulty as well, so
Oh yeah,
it's always so, because it's slower. As you're learning that, it takes longer to learn the start of it then, because you'll be like, fuck, how do I beat this fucker?
yeah. Hardest difficulty, because that game at first is very difficult, even not on the hardest difficulty, because you just are so limited in what you have at your disposal early on. But because this type of enemies that you encounter don't change massively as you progress further into the game, so a lot of the things that are troubling you at the start will still be troubling you later on in the game, but you'll be much more well equipped to take care of them later on. What other stuff has been going on? I mean, we really don't want to talk about politics.
Well, let's just say the general election happened yesterday, didn't
The
it?
general election happened yesterday, yeah, and
And the results were this morning.
I'm just fucking glad it's over.
Yeah.
well, it's almost over. It's just the formality of Theresa May creating her joke of a government.
Oh, just going on Facebook everybody with their fucking vote this person, vote that person. What are you being paid by these people to promote them? For fuck's sake, I want to see funny things. I want to see monkeys flinging shit at each other, and you know what I mean. I don't want to see Jeremy Corbyn or fucking Theresa May. I'm so glad it's over. I just want Facebook to go back to fucking normal. Even though I don't go on Facebook. But when I do, I want it to be stuff that's interesting.
Yeah.
Not fucking politics.
Well, so obviously that happened, and then shortly before that there was another terrorist attack in
And
London.
the Manchester one as well.
There was that big scandal about so many people who were actually affected by the attack that weren't able to get tickets because those other sites had bought up loads of tickets and then were selling them for like,
Extortionate prices.
yeah, a £50 ticket was now £600. And that's the thing, like it would the original £50 price for that would have gone towards what the money was going to go towards, and then whoever it was that was selling it for £600 was going to pocket the profit of that for themselves.
The thing that pissed me off about the terrorist things, and not really going into the general election, but everybody going, oh, well, there's been 3 terrorist attacks over the last 2 months, 3 months, under the Tory government. So what? Lib Dems were going to stop them 3 attacks. Labour were going to stop them 3 attacks. You can't stop lone killers.
No, and they were people who were in this country. It's not like they were basically British people.
But this is the thing. I don't understand how that was a thing. Oh, underneath. I'm not saying that she's. I didn't vote for her or nothing, but it was just a stupid argument. Well, anybody can. From what I've heard, they foiled over 18 attempts. 5 within the last couple of months.
Mm.
Some are going to happen. You can't get all of them.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like, well, don't think Labour would have done any better, considering there was no shoot to kill policy if they'd have got in, or Trident, or they would never have pushed a button. I'm joking. I'm not getting
Let's
involved.
not get involved in the
Yeah.
nuclear
Come here.
argument because
Yeah.
Come here.
I thought who was it? The questioning when they just had Theresa May and then Jeremy Corbyn out afterwards. Spent far too much time on that.
The
fucking
question time.
discussion.
You're talking about the question
Yeah,
time.
the question
thing. What
time.
a fucking stitch up. What a fucking stitch up. I'm not. See, I feel like I'm fighting her corner. I'm not. When she was on, there was some guy with a beard who just started shouting at her. Not asking questions, just shouting shit, right?
Yeah, but they
But
did
then, when he was on, and they're going, but would you push the red button? Well, I'd like to find another way. Would you push the red button? Luckily, just lo and behold, there was a woman sitting there that they went to next, who went, why is everybody intent in killing millions of people? Well, that's fucking funny that she's the person that they go to straight after that comment, and after he's turning around there going, I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to answer that. Oh, well, let's go to so-and-so. And then she comes out with that. Now, you can't tell me that wasn't a fucking plant.
Although
that was a fucking plant and a half.
Mm,
No, that was. That was.
I would say that the host is trying to rush her to just get on with the other question. He was trying to.
She was
pass
a
over.
plant. Plant. Not that I give a fuck, but it just seemed to me, oh, well, that's coincidence, isn't it? She's sitting there with that comment, getting him out of trouble, when she had that guy shouting at her, you're gonna lose. Really? That's not a question. I want to see people asking questions at a question time thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I would have liked to have seen Theresa May debate with Jeremy Corbyn, but she was too pussy to do that. I have been thoroughly unimpressed by Theresa May ever since she became Prime Minister. I think she's the worst Prime Minister I've ever seen, and I've seen fucking Gordon Brown.
Oh, God, that was a disgrace.
But, yeah, we don't want to start going heavily into all of that stuff.
No, I just want fair to be fair.
Yeah.
Right,
I want to see a fair thing.
But you
But
say
when I see things that to me look planted and set up to swing something, even though it might be slightly.
But then it's happening on both sides, though. You've got to say
okay,
it. It's
okay.
you know,
Okay.
you've got to say it has
Okay.
been happening on both sides. Like the whole thing.
Just want
about
everybody
how
to know I'd push the button in a fucking second. Even if
I
I
saw
didn't,
one
even if
thing-
I didn't need to, I would just.
I saw one thing yesterday where they were showing a clip from a thing where Nicola Sturgeon was being asked a question on the news. And then she got asked a question and she was just about to start answering. And then they said, oh no, we're just going to have to interrupt you because Theresa May is about to start speaking. And Nicola Sturgeon's just left standing there in this little screen in the corner, just waiting for Theresa May to finish talking.
Yeah.
I thought that was so disrespectful. Not that I am a fan of the SNP, but I think the BBC's coverage of things has been pretty shambolic.
Yeah.
There's been so many things that have come to light in this campaign. It's
One thing that I found was during the whole of after the polls started going against Theresa May, it pissed me off. Like the amount, I didn't see any. Yes, Labour had kind of social media was really helping them, but on YouTube, when I was watching stuff on my phone,
all the adverts
without
were
a doubt,
Tory
every
propaganda.
single one. Every single one. I've never seen it so YouTube to a point where every single advert is for the only one issue on everything I was looking at. Doesn't matter whether it was a computer thing or like what I was looking at. And they must have targeted because from what I'd look at, I'd very much doubt that the channels that I look at, the algorithm would say that I would ever vote Conservative.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so whether that was the targeting directly to get the swap over, but it was fucking pissing me off so much.
Yeah, me too. Because
it
I
was
didn't
really pissing me off.
I didn't actually see a single
No Labour
thing from or not
No,
Labour or
no
any
other
other party.
party, yeah, that's
no,
true.
I only saw Tory propaganda, and their whole angle from every single one was just about Jeremy Corbyn's weak and Theresa May's strong. But what has Theresa May done that is supposed to convince people that she is strong and stable? And that's the words that she keeps using all the time.
Mm. Well, I love how what's the phrase that she's used for the new government that they're making? She used a phrase. It was kind of a clarity. Yeah, it was something about clarity, and I was a bit like, things have been so clear so far from you.
Yeah. I mean, she's now making this alliance with a much more right-wing party even than her own. And I don't know. She kept on going on about the coalition of chaos, who are going to be allies of terrorists, and she never once actually was saying to us, "Oh, and it's going to be me that creates this." And that's exactly what she ended up doing. A weird coalition with a party that no one else had ever heard of outside of Northern Ireland until now. And she's in coalition with them just to keep herself in power. I wouldn't even be so bothered if she would have stepped down and they had a new vote for a new leader, because it's obvious that a big portion of her own party's supporters don't support her anymore. The amount of seats that they lost.
Girl power.
Yeah, there's a lot of women in powerful positions in the UK now. I'm not commenting on that in either way. It's just a fact.
Yeah. Oh, interesting times. I mean, the votes happened. We can't do anything.
Yeah,
from
yeah.
here
We
now.
just sit here and
now
watch
it's
what
between
happens.
the parties to.
But
do
it's,
what the hell they
to
want.
me, it's just like another. I just love it. I love it. I love sitting back and watching it all. I love sitting back and watching it all because I don't give a fuck.
Because there's the
Honestly,
Trump
don't
stuff
give
as
a
well, isn't there? Which was coming out with Comey and
my
Trump
God,
yesterday.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
hilarious.
I love it.
It is really funny, and now Trump is saying that he lied, that Comey lied to Congress, lied in court. But
but you can't be a pathological liar in public all the time and then say that someone else is lying, in my opinion.
And also, like he'll say, and this is like a Jeremy Kyle show moment, because he'll say that he was lying about the incriminating things that he said about Trump, but he also said things about Trump like that Trump wasn't being investigated.
And then it was all kind of
cushy
about
it. And Trump will say, yeah, that's true, but the stuff that you said that was incriminating about me, that's not true. You're a liar. But if he was lying, why would he say anything that vindicates? I don't know. There's definitely more to come in that story, and I agree with you on that, Tim. It is interesting just to sit there and watch.
I love it.
It's like a soap opera.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. And the whole thing is, to me, the whole thing from Brexit through to now they're saying that she's not going to get her independent referendum again now.
Yeah.
That's out the window.
Yeah, they say
They're
her
withdrawing
campaigning
it
for
from
that.
the party, yeah, I think.
Yeah, because there's the Conservatives in Scotland have got a lot more seats now, and they're completely against it. And a lot of people are speculating that the reason they've got more seats is because a lot of Scottish people don't want another referendum.
Oh God, I love it. It's just amazing. It's
Yeah.
just, sit there with popcorn and Coke. Just
Yeah,
bring
it
on.
just makes you
Bring
see
it on.
how much a lot of these politicians have no idea what ordinary people are actually
Or
thinking.
journalists within the political spectrum
Yeah.
as well, because they were all like, "Oh, it's going to be a landslide."
Yeah.
They were even supporting what Theresa May was hoping to go into. It's a bit like.
You see, the thing is, for me, Theresa May, no, because of the fox hunting and crap. Jeremy Corbyn, no, because I just don't think he can deliver what he's saying he can. None of them are going to be any good. I mean, what makes me laugh is the old Diane Abbott. Oh, we've had to replace her now because she's ill.
But you said, what I find funny is that people put the argument that Jeremy Corbyn can't deliver what he's promised to deliver. Have the Conservatives actually delivered half their targets that they were promising to deliver?
I don't even know.
No.
What he was coming out with in his manifesto, to me, was unachievable.
But he had
A lot of
costed
it
it
was
all at least.
unachievable.
At least he, in his manifesto, he had costed almost everything that he laid out, whereas the Tories didn't cost anything that they laid out.
Except for the school lunches at 6p per person.
Yeah, and also the whole thing of the so-called dementia tax of which they did cost that, and then everyone was like, no, you can't fucking do that, and so she backtracked and said, well, we're going to put a cap on it.
What's funny is that because she basically she was pissing off the young people anyway, who were blatantly going to choose either Lib Dem or Labour. And they came out in force, and that's what happened.
And she also pissed off a lot of the older
and
people
then
as well.
she made the mistake of pissing off the older people. It's been like, probably shouldn't do that as well.
Yeah.
If you're gonna
I mean, I've always said, and I've said this to you two many years ago, I can remember having a conversation with you saying, support people and want a good government, but make sure that you look after yourself. Because you can't guarantee that anyone's going to look after you. I've always said this. This has been my motto since I was like 10. Got to look after myself. Got to look after myself. Got to make sure that I am okay. You know how much I help people.
Yeah.
I can't help them if I'm not okay. So I've got to make sure that I am okay. And that's why I've never give a fuck about who's in government. Because with all the best willing and intentions, it never works out. So, I don't give a fuck about who's in government. Vote and say I want this person and I want this person. That's great. That's your given right. But at the end of the day, make sure that you're okay. First and foremost. Because it's and especially in today's society as well, it's hard to even rely on your family, let alone your friends.
Yeah.
Because it ends up being you that supports your family rather than them supporting you.
Yeah.
So, I'll still say to everybody out there, fucking make sure that you are alright. Stockpile your cash, make sure that you fucking got yourself sorted, and then you can help other people.
I think people need to start now as well thinking about finding common ground with each other, because we've talked about it before and I've talked about it with other people. Brexit and the campaign for this election has been so divisive for society, and it's even breaking up families and friendships with people because they are on other sides of the fence. But at the end of the day, we're all living in the same country, and when things happen, we need to cooperate with each other and sort of be looking in the same direction, even if we don't agree with certain things that other people believe.
But mankind don't do that. That's the sad thing about it. That's the whole thing about yin and yang and fucking opposites attract,
Yeah.
You should, but it don't work like that, which is a shame.
Yeah, it's funny
I'm
because
more interested in what Ali was going to say. What was he going to say?
I can't remember. That was what were you talking? I can't remember. As well, yeah.
But I mean, with the Brexit thing, like I've said to people, I don't give a fuck, right? I'm a vegan. I'm sorted. Thank you very much. Fucking my money's safe. I can survive on potatoes and cabbage, and I can buy that from anywhere. I don't need Europe to get my vegetables, you know? So I'm okay with that. And what I'm worried about is my great niece and my great nephew, who are 7 and 2. You know, I worry about people in my family that are just starting out in life. That's why I want them to have a good deal, you know, with Brexit and everything. Myself can't give a shit, you know. I'm going to survive, but I just want to. I want a good deal for my siblings and, you know, their kids.
Right. I'm
and
sorry. I
kids.
remember my point I was going to say now.
Hey.
Which still we're kind of on it. But with that attitude though, which yes at our level probably doesn't affect things too much, but with that general attitude in society, is that not what's perpetuated the disparity in wealth? Where there's people that are just hoarding their wealth because it's their wealth, they've earned it. And
No. You see, the thing is I'm, like I said, you know, I help people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I donate to charities, and you know, I would give somebody my last fucking biscuit, and I would go hungry. Right? That's the kind of guy I am. But it's like, I'm not going to give somebody my last biscuit and not have enough money to go and buy another pack of biscuits, because then I'm going to be fucking hungry. He's going to be fat. I'm going to be starving. That's what I'm saying. You know, if you're going to be that person and give stuff and live a life, just make sure you've got enough for yourself. Just make sure that you're okay.
When it's
That's
in
all
that
I'm saying.
context, then it's fine. Yeah, make sure you have what you need. You don't need to have excess and things. You need what you need. But too many people want to take not what they need, but they want to have as much as they can.
Well, I think people don't view it this way, but a lot of the time is that probably it started off with, for some people, oh, I'm just going to get enough for myself, and some actually goes, oh, but I need a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oh, if I do that, I'll make sure that I'm okay for that. Oh, look, I'll keep this well for that, and then it slowly builds up. And then they become so detached from the struggles of, say, ourselves and things that people at the working class level and the lower middle class level, that they don't understand why that seems so disproportionate for us.
But you've got some, you know, I can, if you come into money through birth, and you know you've got millions of pounds handed down to you, blah blah blah, then you're going to be different from someone like me, who we were so poor that we used to have to suck bones to get the marrow out because we couldn't afford food. You know, we was eating tripe and pig's trotters and shit. My dad was catching rabbits on the common and fucking pigeon, you know. Oh, my dad was Romany gypsy, but the fact is, I've come from nothing. I spent 7 years homeless, living in squats, living on the streets. There's no fucking way I'm gonna do that again. And you know who helped me through all of that period? No one.
Right, but
No one. Not no government, not no council, not no family member, not no friends, no one. I had to look after myself. I had to build my life to what it is today myself, because no one's going to give that to me. I was living in a squat. I got £800 together. The rent back then for the place that we'd squatted was around £300 a month. I went to the council and went, I'm squatter, I keep squatting your premises and really pissing you off. There's 1 month's money, there's another month's money. Why don't you just let me rent this property off of you? Because then I'm not going to go and squat another property in 3 months' time. And then I'm not going to go and squat another property in 3 months' time. And every time I do this, you need to take me to court to get me removed. So why don't we stop this stupidness? And I am earning the money now to pay you the rent. They wouldn't let me do it. It wasn't as if I didn't try, but they wouldn't help me. Do you know how much help young people get today? We never had fucking connections, and we never had this shit at fucking after school care and all of this stuff. The world today has, we didn't even have the internet. The internet weren't turned on until I was 20 years old. We didn't even have fucking computers. This is the thing. So I made myself. I made the man I am today. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that, right? Because I come from sitting there in hand-me-down clothes with holes in, scraping marrow out of a bone with the back end of a spoon and eating it. That's where I come from. So for me, I've made myself. I've made my money. I've made my life comfortable for the rest of my life. But I help other people. I can't help other people the way I do if I haven't got it to help with. Do you see what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, I'm passing it forward, but nobody gave it to me in the first place to pass forward. Look at what I do in the music industry for people. Do I charge them for using my studios? I give them beats that I could charge them thousands of pounds for. I help these people without asking for a fucking penny back. I pay for that. Who gave me that money? Not the fucking government. Not my family, not my friends. I did. I built that. I built my empire. I built my life. That's what I'm saying. Just make sure that you're okay. It's great to help other people, but don't help other people and sit there with nothing. Don't sit there hungry going, oh shit, I gave my last tenner away. Make sure that you're alright. Just make sure that you're alright. Make sure you've got enough money to pay the bills, get food, pay the gas, pay the electric, make sure you got light, make sure you got heat, make sure you got clothes on your back. That's what I'm saying. You've got to look after yourself. You've got to. But a lot of people out there have grown up with this mentality of, I'm owed it. You owe me this. Well, do we? Do we owe you anything? You've done nothing. Some people don't even want to get a job. Some people don't want to work. I was working at the age of fucking 12. I used to work at the age of 12. I was earning 50, 60 pounds a week at the age of 12. Working in a cafe, doing deliveries with a paper, and then working in the back of an off licence, right? But some people today don't want to work because they feel they're owed it. I'm owed this. You're not owed jack. This is the problem where people go, oh, you know, it's like, but all these people that go, oh, you know, I don't want to work because you should give me this, or I should get this free, or I should get this free. Nothing's for free. You got to fucking make sure you look after yourself. Otherwise, you ain't going to get jack shit. But this is the thing. Society now is a throwaway society. It's a throwaway society. We used to have televisions repaired. What happens when our TVs break now? We throw them out, we buy another one.
No, I got a monitor that was broken, and I fixed it myself.
Yeah, but in the old days, we used to have a tube put in or some diode transistor fucking soldered in. We used to have TV repairmen. We don't get them today. Why? Because the TV's a throwaway. This is throwaway. That's throwaway. Kids are wearing £400 trainers. Really? Oh, where did that money come from? Because you can fucking guarantee they haven't worked for it. People think they're owed it. All I'm saying is, for me, I don't care about the rich. I've made my money. I've had to make my money. And I'm never going to go back to where I was.
But it sounds like you're putting a blanket over a lot of people of the same attitudes. I'm not saying that there aren't people like that, because there are, because I've fucking seen them.
They are.
But the way it comes across is that you're blanketing a large part of the people who are struggling, and that's not the reality of it, I don't think.
People look, there's a lot of people out there that are genuinely struggling, yeah. But then there's a lot of people out there that are taking the fucking piss. Right? They are.
Yeah, but isn't that always the case? It's about the proportionality.
But this is the thing. Sort out the people that are taking the piss. So the people that are left there are fucking genuine. Because I can't look at somebody and go, they're genuine. Because for all I know, they're fucking lying. They're taking the piss. I don't know. That's why I keep out of it. I don't want to fucking
But then you've got the issue with like the DWP assessments, where there's been a lot of deaths that have been linked directly to a result of those assessments being made.
Yeah, there's not enough. It is really difficult. There's no one's denying it's difficult.
way more complicated than I think. Like I get your points. Like there's points where I'll go, yes, there are some people like that, and of course, but I think it's way more complicated.
Right. This is.
I don't think that the welfare thing is the real thing. I think because the reality is, Tim, if it wasn't for the NHS, my mum would have died 10 years ago if it weren't for the NHS. That's why I say the NHS is the most important thing that we need to protect. It doesn't matter about Brexit as much as it matters about that.
But the NHS is getting rinsed by people that come to this country, have a £15,000 operation,
But then why
and
aren't
then
the
fuck off again.
Yeah, so that
Sort
things
it
like
out.
that. And
Sort it out.
but the thing is,
But no-
what you've just said there is exactly what Jeremy Corbyn says. He says it's not that people are coming here and so we need to block them from doing that. What we need to do is take away the incentive for them to come here.
I've said this the last couple of podcasts. We need to stop being a benefit society.
Yeah, don't.
No, we don't need to stop being.
No, but what I mean by that
Don't
is
give
people
benefits.
can come and use our system and then just
Yeah,
fuck
yeah,
off.
that is. I don't understand why that is allowed.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you get people who come from abroad to have their baby here because they don't want to pay for a midwife in their own
But
country.
this is another thing that made me think about Corbyn saying I'm going to squash tuition fees. Is that just for people in England, or can anybody come now and just rinse our fucking...
No, that would be for people in
just
England.
rinse
Yeah,
our
it would be for
universities and then
British
fuck
people.
off again?
No, that'd be the people in England.
Only
Yeah,
people
but how
who
can you stop that? How can you monitor that?
Scotland's been doing it.
How long do you have to be here before you're classed as being able to get free tuition in?
You get
Well,
free
you-
tuition in
yeah,
Scotland
that's
if
the
you're
thing.
Scottish.
You would.
If
you
I
get
come
free
here
tu-
a
you
month
get- you get-
later, can I get free tuition?
Hang on a second, I'm making a point. You're getting free in Scotland. They already have that. If you're Scottish, you get free tuition in Scotland.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
What's the rules around?
Yeah,
that?
well, that's the thing, and there would be rules made around it when it happens, if it happens. But it obviously, it's the same with any kind of policy. They'll say what the idea for the policy is, and then once it starts being put into action, it will be debated in the Houses of Parliament, and everyone will work together to come up with a set of rules for how it's going to
You
work.
shouldn't scrap a policy just because it hasn't got completely into details yet. Because throughout history of our general elections, rarely have I ever seen it go into the point with your policies that you have it all completely 100% planned out. You go in with the basic going like this is how we'd fund it, and then the details of it go and get
This is the
bits
thing
in
that
government.
this is me. This is how my brain works, right? I get the fact that the NHS is crumbling. There's things that can be done about that. If people are not prepared to do that, what can you do about it? Right? But this is how I've grown up. If I was to become a nurse, and don't get me wrong, I've always campaigned on the fact that nurses, doctors, firemen should get way more money, right? Because these people, and I've said this in another podcast, these people save your fucking life, right? But they can't afford a flat. The most simplest thing that you should be able to do in life is to get yourself a little place to live, your own little castle. They can't afford to do that.
Or they're on
right?
food banks as well. so-
Right, but this is the win. This is the fucking thing, right? And you're gonna hate me for this, but don't be a fucking nurse. If it's not gonna help you in your life, quit and get something that's gonna pay you more fucking money. You have that option. Let it crumble, because this is the thing. If you don't look after yourself, if you don't look at it and go, I can't survive like this, but I'm gonna carry on doing it. Sorry, you've got a choice. Have you not?
But
Don't get me wrong.
Right, but
I
then
loved what I'd done
Okay.
growing up. But if it ain't paying the money,
but
fuck, am
but,
I doing it?
But with that example, then there's a responsibility of that's what the Tories want to happen, and then they'll put into private security companies, not security companies, private kind of
But if
pharmaceutical
I'm a nurse
companies
and I'm
things.
not earning enough
And
to
then-
survive and I want a good life, if I can go and find a job that gives me a good life, I don't give a fuck about being privatised, 'cause I ain't in it no more. Why should I care? I'm fucking earning my money, thank you very much. I've
But
got
then-
my
But
nice
then
when-
that's
but
the,
then
that's
when
the,
you
that's
get
the
got my
attitude.
nice little
That's
flat.
those are the attitudes of individualism that cause the kind of social services and social services, but the public services to start collapsing
Yeah.
under themselves, and that's
Because
why.
the problem
that's
with
why
that
we have
person
to-
is they abandon their principles and their priorities of trying to help and make the NHS work and do all of that because it's not paying enough money, and then 10 years later they get cancer and they can't afford to have the thing like That's the
Yeah, but this is
problem.
the thing. Should a guy that swept the road all of his life not be able to go and get chemo?
Of course he should. Yeah.
But so should a nurse that changes her profession.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. What
No.
I'm denying is the fact that if everyone had the attitude that working in the NHS isn't good enough for me, and so I'm going to leave it, and they allowed the NHS to crumble because all they were thinking about was themselves at the time, it ripples out and it affects other things in the bigger
but
picture.
then to stay in something that's hindering you,
And then that shows
is
where
that not
there's
an illness?
then that shows where there's corrupt governments
Right,
who aren't
listen,
addressing those
if you're
issues.
ill, what do? You take a pill or you fucking have an operation? If your life is hindering you, change your fucking life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's the argument about? Everybody's got that option. They
Yeah.
don't have to suffer.
No, you don't know. You don't have to suffer. No, it depends what your reasoning is for doing it. I think the
Survival, and feeling that you know, why are you going to go without? Why are you visiting a food bank? Get a fucking different job. If that's not paying enough, that you have to go to a fucking food bank, then that profession is not good for you.
Right, but then this is where the government is supposed to step in, because then if it doesn't step
agree.
in, it's going to collapse completely,
I agree.
and
I
you wouldn't have been able to have
completely
your.
I
parts
completely
and stuff.
agree. Yeah, but that basically was all of the years of money that I've paid to the NHS.
It's not just the years of money that you've paid to the NHS, though. It's the years of money that everyone
And
has
actually,
paid to the NHS.
that's why today I donate money and buy things from the British Heart Foundation.
Mm.
Because it was the British Heart Foundation that championed all of
Yeah,
that.
the procedures that
And the
were done,
procedures
yeah.
and getting it from a 30% success rate to a 70% success rate. Don't get me wrong, I give money to the... Look at my guitars. All of my guitars have got bands on that are British Heart Foundation.
Mm.
Every single time I go past one, I go in and buy something. Whether it's one of the coin things for the trolleys, whether it's a new band for the guitars, whether it's a fucking earring for someone or a necklace or whatever. I always donate money, right? Because I understand that without the British Heart Foundation, what I had to go through, I would probably have only have had a 30% chance of surviving. I get that, right? But I can't do anything about the NHS except vote for someone that could do something about the NHS, right? When that person gets in, whether they do something or not about the NHS is up to them, isn't it? I've got them in a position to do something about the NHS because I believe, and I do believe, that nurses deserve way more money. They're the people that we go to save our children and our mums and our dads and fucking family members. I get that. How the fuck are they getting shit money? I don't understand that. I don't understand it about firefighters. I don't get it. I've been there when they've been on fucking standing in London with buckets because they were on strike because they weren't getting money. So, you know, we was giving money to firemen, right? I get it. But your government ain't doing jack shit. It's not doing jack shit, right? The NHS could be fantastic, but it's not. It's not. I can't sort that out. I can't, right? I can't fucking do that single-handedly. But even if I vote for Corbyn, I need millions of other people to vote for Corbyn to get him into fucking power to change the NHS. How are you going to guarantee he's going to do it when he's in?
I don't
You still
really
put
see...
him in there to try and do it, but you can't guarantee he's going to fucking do it.
No.
Yes? Right? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He may foul.
Mm.
So why are you not looking after yourself? Because if you can't trust him, you got to make sure that you're all right.
But what's your
You can put
definition
them
of
in.
all
You can
right?
put them into power, but you can't guarantee they're going to do the job.
I just don't... What I don't really understand is what you're defining as all right, because...
Right. Make sure that you can survive.
Yeah.
Make sure that you can survive. So you don't have to go to a food bank. so that you don't have to worry about not having enough to pay the bills, so that you don't have to suffer. You can relax.
Right.
Just go and relax, because you have set yourself up to be okay. You only get one shot at this life thing. One thing I've learned, you only get one shot at it. And if you sit there with nothing and worrying and having your bills, your electric cut off or your gas cut off or this or that or this or that, there's no way to live. There's no way to fucking live. Ringing your mum, can you lend me £100 to pay the gas bill? Then you're taking your mum's money, who's older than you and fucking needs the money more than you do. So you're just passing the problem down the thing. All I'm saying is you got to look after number one, because if you don't, you're going to end up fucked. That's how I see
part
it.
of basic
That's
humanity.
how I
You've
see
got to look after yourself.
Don't get me wrong. I want everyone to have greatness. I want everyone not to have to worry about money. I want everyone to be able to own a property, as in my great niece, my great nephew, and other siblings in my family. I look at them and I think, what fucking chance have they got when they reach 20?
Yeah.
They have not got a hope in hell at all, and it's a scary fucking thing.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. I've come from nothing, and so I've built my fucking shit, and I hang on to it like with grim death, because I'm not going back to where I was. I refuse to go back to where I was. I don't give a fuck. I do not give a flying fuck. I'm alright, Jack, and I've made myself alright, Jack, and I don't give a shit. I'll help anyone. Don't get me wrong. I'll help anyone. You know me. You know me. But I'll be fucked if I'm going back to where I was. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I guarantee you that. I'd rather cut my own throat than go back to where I was. I'm not going to do that again. So therefore, I've built my empire because nobody helped me. I did it. And that's what I'm telling to other people. At the end of the day, you've got to make sure you're all right. You've got to make sure you're all right.
Yeah, I don't
and if your
disagree with
life
that.
is treating you shit,
But
then change it.
I don't think
if
we're
in
disagreeing.
every aspect.
But you've got the things that you've got. If you were saying this and what you had was £10 million and a Lamborghini outside and all of that kind of shit, I would be sitting here saying, no, I don't agree with you, because you don't have what you need to be okay. You have things that you don't need because you want to show off, or you want to have fancy stuff because you feel like you're entitled to it. What? Because you managed to get hold of a bunch of money somehow. That's the people that Jeremy Corbyn and all the youngsters and the Labour supporters have an issue with. It's not people who are earning 40,000 a year and who have got their own home and are comfortable like that. That's not a problem. It's people who are earning over £200,000 a year. That was one of the things that Corbyn was going to do, was to add in a corporation tax, so any company that has individuals that are earning £300,000 a year or more
But
have to pay a tax.
this is the thing. So we're living in the 21st century. Why is that like that? Why is that like that? Why are we not already on a decent wage? I'm talking about the guy that we need to sweep the road, the guy that we need to paint fucking fences or gates or whatever. Why are they not already earning a decent fucking wage? Enough to get themselves a mortgage. Why are house prices so fucking high? Why is it so stupid nowadays that people struggle and can't afford fuck all?
But that's all the questions that we were asking, and Corbyn even showed a little bit of light to try and address those issues where Theresa May didn't. Even the
But he lost. So why did he fucking lose?
but he gained, so like the
He's still not running the country.
No, but it doesn't matter because it does matter, but the Labour, after the financial crash of New Labour, let's just say, that caused the Labour numbers to plummet.
Yeah.
And in a couple of years of Jeremy Corbyn being in, he's managed to raise it up to the point where he's getting to a point where he could form a coalition as a challenge to Theresa May.
Labour actually got more votes in this election than they did in the year when Tony Blair became Prime Minister in 1997. But I think the point of it is that those issues that you said about have got to the point that they are now, and the reason why the Tories won and why people still haven't quite got to that point of trying something different is because people have said, well, that's the way it is. People think that's just the way it is, and that's the way it has to be, without questioning it at all. It's like I know guys who work for building firms, and they do lots of jobs over in West London. And West London is where all the most expensive properties in the UK are. And all of those properties are owned by the same people. Like, there's entire streets of houses and flats in West London, in Chelsea and stuff, that are owned by the Sainsbury family, and they rent them out to tenants. And things like that, you know, that when you've got loads of money, more money than you're ever going to need.
We're allowed to do that.
Yeah, exactly. That is the sort of thing that I would raise questions about. Why are people allowed to do that? When this family is already billionaires, they've got way more money than they could ever spend, and yet they are allowed to buy things that other people
are still waiting to get.
Yeah, and then exploit people by taking their wages as rent for all of these things.
But then again, look at over history. How many fucking different parties have been in power? Tories and Labour.
Yeah.
Has anything changed?
It's fluctuated, hasn't it? It's fluctuated all the time.
Because from what I know, things got so bad that when the Tories took over, they found a note saying, "Good luck, there's no money left." And things were so fucking dire
And
that
so
we're only coming out of it now.
Right, and then they decided to put in an austerity measures.
No,
that
I'm not having a
incorrect.
go.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, right? Labour fucked it, and
Labour didn't
Conservatives are
fuck
gonna
it.
fuck
The whole world was fucked. It wasn't just
Yeah,
our
but
country.
let's
that was
just say,
fucked
right,
at
the
that
whole
time.
world's still fucked, but Labour didn't do anything. Labour didn't achieve anything.
Labour didn't avoid
They
it. no.
spunked all that money and got us into all that fucking debt, right? And then the Tories ain't going to be any better, right? So this is the thing. I've seen 49 fucking years of it. Do you think I trust any of them? After 49 years, people are still poor, and people are still struggling. Sorry, I don't see.
Right, but
prove to me, MPs, prove to me that it's not all for shit, because otherwise, I can't guarantee that Corbyn's going to get in and change it, because I've heard that before, for 49 fucking years.
But you made a point there about you still see people who are poor. Right, we're not saying that. I mean, I don't think anywhere's kind of eradicated that issue in the world about people being poor, but within the Tory government and the latter half of the Labour government, of the last Labour government, we've seen the numbers rising when they were lowering before. Of crime is going up, knife crime and things like that. We're seeing homelessness start increasing when we were actually reducing the numbers before. Those are the issues that are the big problems. Where yes, we've never eradicated it over the years, but there's a big problem when you're starting to see massive increases in it, and that's when there's a big problem with the current government and their society
But
problems.
this is
and
what I'm
that's
trying to say
when it
to
needs
you, right? Over 40, I understand, because you lot are a lot younger than me, right? And the young people out there, I'm sorry about the way I am, right? But 49 years I've seen this. Do you think I'm going to fucking get mugged off?
But then,
Really?
you're saying not to
No
get
fucking
involved
way,
at
mate.
all.
I'm looking after me, because no cunt out there's gonna. I'm 49 years in. You prove to me that I can rely on somebody out there. I ain't gonna rely on jack shit, because they're fucking letdowns, all of them. And that's why I built my empire. That's why I'm okay. That's why I don't need to work. And I'm proud of that. I don't give a fuck about anyone out there, because none of them are gonna help me. Corbyn, he might do, but he's never gonna get in. Theresa May, she might do, but I very much fucking doubt it.
I love
Lib
that-
Dems, they would have, but they're never going to get in.
Corbyn, he's
But
never
this
going to
is
get
the
in.
thing.
When it was Corbyn, he's never going to increase the gap, decrease the gap. That's
No,
what
but
it was
this is the
before.
thing. This is the
Yeah.
thing.
I think that
I can vote
will.
for him, but he's not going to get in.
He might get in the next one. You never know. He's done a massive increase in numbers.
Thing is, I agree.
To
look,
me,
look
that could
after
be
yourself.
just Remainers getting pissed off and going, "Fuck it, we're going to make it more difficult."
No, because the young vote has been the largest that it's ever been in kind of almost the same levels as
But
it
this
was
is
during
another
the-
thing. These young people are going to go and vote. Brilliant, right? But then they're going to get disheartened and go, well, it didn't fucking work, so I'm not going to bother doing it again. You don't
Maybe.
know.
You don't know, no.
This is the thing
but
I'm
but
saying,
you-
man.
But
This is
but now
the
what you're
thing
saying
I'm
is disenhard. But now what you're saying would disenfranchise the young people, and that's not what you should be doing. You should be
Yeah, you
enheartening and going,
get,
look,
you get
these
to
are
a
the
point where
games."
you're okay, and that's fine. But then once you're at that point, exactly like you've been saying, you then are in a position where you can help other people.
Yeah.
And whatever method you choose to do that with is good. But I don't think that...
Some people might not have or be
Listen,
in a position to
I'm
be
not
able to
even
do
going to
that.
go into how I earn most of my money, but you know how I earn most of my fucking
Well,
money.
yeah, exactly.
Right? I clawed my way out. I made my money.
But I don't disagree with you at all on getting yourself to a point where you are safe and comfortable. It's just the issue that so many people now have a problem with is what Alistair was saying about the gulf between the few and the many, the rich and the poor.
Oh, mate,
and-
I get it. I fucking it
Yeah,
destroys
and
me.
those people
it
don't-
does
they
destroy
don't
me
need
because I
or-
still see it as that
Yeah,
because I come from that.
yeah,
I still see that struggle in other people. I see that struggle in other people, right? I still feel I want to do it. I want to do it. Don't think I'm not a cunt. I want to make life better for people. That's why I help people. That's why
Yeah.
I try and do what I can for people,
yeah.
right? But things would have to change a hell of a lot for me to relax and go, okay, I actually trust the politician.
But
I
you're
actually
in a
trust this
position.
politician.
You're in a position to be able to do it that way, whereas someone like myself or like Ali or like a lot of other people our age or younger, the only thing that I can do to help is go out on the streets and support the Labour Party and stuff, because I can't afford to give money to charity. I don't have time to devote to, to spend days with someone doing this or that. I either have to look after my mum or I have to work. You know what I mean? So I suppose in that way, a generational thing in this room is the fact that you have struggled through everything that you've been through and got yourself to the point you're in now, where, as you said, you don't need to work. You have enough things to support yourself. You have the means to do that. And so you therefore have things that you can donate to the charities and causes that you believe in, and you also have time that you can give to the people that you want to help.
But some of that, I mean, okay, some of my thing was doing 3 or 4 jobs. I would do this job, then I would go and do this job, then I would go and do this job. And sometimes I was lucky in, right, if I buy this for that amount and I sell it for that amount, I was lucky in, I lived in a time when I could buy a 1-bedroom flat for 19,000 and then sell it for 34,000. But I had to go and work 3 or 4 jobs to earn money to start banking up. It didn't all come easily.
No, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is the thing. When I say you've got to look after yourself, you've got to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
So just give yourself that little nest egg.
Yeah. You've got to build something for yourself.
But I was
Absolutely,
brought
yeah.
up that way. I was brought up that way. Like I said, when I was 14, I'd go from school to a cafe, work in the cafe till 6:30, go home, get all the evening standards, go and deliver the evening standards. Then on a Saturday, I would work in the cafe all day because it was in a market in Sutton. Then I would still do the evening standards on a Saturday night and a Sunday night. And I was working in the back of Westminster Wines. I was doing 3 jobs when I was 14. Because we were so fucking poor, I had to bring money in. That's how I got brought up, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And that stuck with me. So I was all right doing 2 jobs, 3 jobs a week. And I'm talking, some of them jobs were like 8-hour jobs. But then I'd go and do a couple of hours doing something else to bring in more money. And then bank it up, invest it in this, invest it in that. And I know it's not easy, but that's what I'm saying. Make sure that you're okay. And for me, if I really wanted to do this for a living, But when I started to do that, it wasn't bringing in the money that I needed, so I had to do other things.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? I had that
I think
choice.
we're all in the same.
Yeah,
us
I
two are
had
in the
that
same
choice. That's what I'm
situation
saying.
like
You've got the
Yeah,
choice.
yeah.
at the
It's
moment.
going to hurt you because this is what you want to do in life. But hey, shit happens. Sometimes you need to fucking change for your own sanity, and for your own fucking peace of mind or good for your own good. You know. And it is hard. It's horrible. I know. I mean, I still feel that. I still feel that. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm defending myself.
No, because we're
No,
listening.
yeah.
I,
it's-
to,
not-
to
we're
be
not-
honest, from
it's-
the
We're not under
outside,
attack.
if-
We're listening to your discussion of things. So we're not. On
yeah, I
completely
actually
on the
think
attack.
I think that really we're all saying the same thing, but in a different way,
Yeah.
really, because you're not saying everyone should try and get as rich as they possibly can and take as much as they
No.
can from everyone and give nothing back. Like, you're saying that you just need to make sure that you are at a point where you are safe and that you got a roof over your head and you're not stressed and you relax, and I think that that's true. And then once you're in that point,
Yeah.
then you can give things back to other people.
But that's what life's about, isn't it? To
Yeah.
strive to get that.
Yeah.
That's the basic things that we should have. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is the basic things that we should have.
Yeah, we should all be able to feel like we are safe. We don't have the threat of being thrown out onto the streets. We're not going to starve. Absolutely. Yeah. And so, whatever money is available, if everybody was able, if people were being paid fair wages and there weren't other people that were able to exploit the current system and make money that they don't even need off of it. I mean, my ex told me that she was cutting the hair of this woman who was telling her about her son who's studying law in some university, and because he was a little bit short on money, she bought him a flat in Fulham, not for him to live in, but so that he could rent it out for like £15,000 a month, so he could
Yeah.
have a little bit of spending money.
Yeah.
And that's obscene. That's like
because you're taking away from people who need to have maybe lower cost homes, because guess what, council homes aren't really being built at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
Or
and this is a young man who's going to become a lawyer because his family can afford to pay for everything he needs to be able to become a lawyer, and he's going to be earning big money as well as inheriting whatever money his family has. So why can't he at least go through 3 years at university where he's not rich already? He's not being given £15,000 a month. That's the thing that I have an issue with. People who are who have got way more than they could ever need, and they're doing everything they can to hang on to that, and to take more and more and more from the poorer people who don't have the power to come out of that situation.
See, but it's funny, isn't it? Because coming from where I came from and having nothing, if somebody's born and they're born into a multi-millionaire lifestyle, it's funny, isn't it? I don't care about that.
I think that's the problem about this.
I don't care about that. They're going to live a great life. They're going to have fucking, they're millionaires. Good on them. I didn't. I weren't born like that. I was born into poverty. Big poverty. Do you know what I mean? And harsh poverty. And grew up in a period where we had 3-day weeks because there was no money. And power cuts because they couldn't afford the electric all the time. And share a bath with your fucking cousins. And bins piled up 15 foot high because there was no bin men. I come from a life of pure poverty. But if somebody drove that past me in a Rolls Royce, I'd be going, oh, look at that Rolls Royce. Do you know what I mean? Because I understand that we're all different. We are all different. Some people are born fucking great. Some people are born with no arms and no legs. Some people are born with Asperger's. Some people are born poor. Some people are born wealthy. It's life. This is the thing, life is life. But I've just got narrowed down to that point where I thought, well, the only thing that matters to me right now is my life. Everybody else can look after themselves for a minute because I need to sort me out, kind of thing. Because I could. Okay, it took a lot, do you know what I mean? It weren't fucking easy. And sometimes, you know, I've sat there, even when I had earning good money, when I was earning really good money, I sometimes sat there and all I had in the cupboard was a packet of spaghetti and a bit of cheese in the fridge. So I cooked the spaghetti and just grated the cheese on the top. Because that's all I had. Because I had bills to pay. I had this to pay. I had that to pay. You know what I mean? I was trying to build this shit around me. So sometimes all my money went to that. So I had nothing. Even though I was earning good money, I was still sitting there eating shit. Do you know what I mean? So it weren't easy. But it's just, this is for me, what all I'm saying is if your life isn't paying for you, find something that is. That's your prerogative. Isn't it? Surely that's your prerogative. You go and buy a pair of shoes and they don't fit, you get a bigger pair. You go and buy a top, you wear it for a day, you look at it, you don't like it, you take it back. You get a job, it's your dream job, but it's not paying enough. So you get a different job that's paying more. It's your prerogative, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's
But-
what I'm saying. You've got the chance to make yourselves better off.
I think we said multiple times that we're not necessarily disagreeing with that point.
No,
exactly.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Look after number one. That's what I mean by it. You know, make sure that you are okay. Whether that means you have to leave that job and get this job, or even get another job on top of that one, just until you sort yourself out. Then you can do what you fucking want.
Right, we'll end it there then. It's been a good discussion, but we'll leave it there.
Oh,
I-
one thing.
Uh,
I just want to tell Will, I've started watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh yeah, I've done
Marvel,
this to say,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah.
After Ali mentioned it last time.
yeah.
I'm into the second season. I don't know if you watch it, but
It's not a bad series. It's quite like, as I said, the first couple of seasons, it's kind of average, Joe.
some of them are a
Okay,
bit hammy.
yeah,
But other ones are quite good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sticking with it.
but as I say, it gets better through each season. It definitely improves. It doesn't get worse. It definitely gets better as you watch it. So
I like
that's
the way
good.
that Samuel L. Jackson turns up here and there. And
Yeah, they've died that down quite a bit recently. They kind of don't know.
Stop fucking watching.
But no, Ghost Rider, robots, and like so much to come.
See, I've seen my dog's been loving you most of the night
Yeah,
over
yeah,
there. But he's abandoned me.
Right, we'll leave it there. Have a good few weeks. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.